Welcome back. If it is joining us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television. A reminder of our top stories. Acting President Yemi Osinbajo orders security operatives to step up the search and rescue efforts to free NNPC and Unimade workers still in Boko Haram captivity. APC members in Kaduna and Rivers states dispute the conduct of the party's congresses as youths disrupt a press conference organized by the aggrieved members in Kaduna. Pharmacists Council of Nigeria moves against illegal dispensation of drugs, seals hundreds of patent medicine stores in Abia State. And spat between Russia and US deepens as President Vladimir Putin orders 755 US diplomatic staff to leave Moscow. For more on our top stories and others, please visit our website channelstv.com and youtube.com/channelsweb. Log on to m.channelstv.com to watch us on your mobile device, or download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows phones from their respective stores. A quick reminder here that having the Channels TV and Channels 24 app will give you access to news and updates. You also have access to the Eyewitness feature, with which you can share those pictures, videos, or news of happenings around you. Just install the app, tap and swipe to reveal the menu, and follow the instructions. Now we have some of the pictures that you sent to our Eyewitness portal today. Let's take a look at them, shall we? We'll begin with this one from Okulo Oyibo in Rivers State, showing a road full of garbage. Eyewitness reporter says this refuse has been on the road for about 2 months. He's calling on the government to do something about it. Still in Rivers State is a picture from Forces Avenue, Orobum in Port Harcourt, which shows a fallen tree. Eyewitness reporter says it was due to a heavy downpour. We're in Ogun State, where we see this picture of a bad road. Eyewitness reporters appealing for urgent government attention. Here's where our journey ends in Sabotansha in Yobe State. We're looking at a picture showing a dirty environment. Eyewitness reporter requests the state government to come to their aid. Thanks for sending in those pictures, and please keep them coming. Now, the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria has been clamping down on illegal and unregistered drug shops across the country. Their next stop is Abia State, where the agency has sealed 397 shops for violating various offences. The exercise is to ensure that only safe and quality drugs are given to the public.
This scantily furnished shop, managed by this young lady, is one of the 397 drug dispensing outlets in Umuahia, the Abia State capital. Shops like this have their peculiarities. The environment is always untidy, and in most cases, they harbor banned medications freely dispensed to unsuspecting Nigerians by quack. Sealed by the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria. There is no registered pharmacist here, except for these two who claim to be nurses. Unfortunately for them, some controlled drugs were found in their store, which has already been dispensed to the public, an offense that has been linked to the rising rate of drug abuse among youths.
This drug, Tramadol, is a substance of abuse, and you can see that this drug is stocked here and dispensed by a non-pharmacist. No prescriptions, they are just dish them out to members of the public. And this is a substance of abuse. And by dispensing them to the public, they are harming the public.
Drugs are registered. The task force officers of the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria went from shop to shop, sealing up unregistered pharmacies. At the end of the exercise, 37 pharmacies and 360 patient medicine stores were sealed for operating without registration, poor sanitary conditions, among other offences. But it's not just in Umuahia that this operation is carried out. Flashback to April 2016, the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria sealed 234 patient shops in Oyo State. In March this year, 373 patent medicine stores and 15 illegal pharmacies were sealed in Ogun State, and 264 pharmacies sealed in Enugu in April, to mention but a few. The regulatory agency has continued to sensitize Nigerians on the danger and consequences of administering and taking drugs already degraded by the environment and wrong prescriptions by quacks.
The owner of these premises was arrested because he was operating illegally. He refused to update his facilities to ensure that the storage of these drugs are in line with manufacturer specifications. Most of the drugs here have not met minimum requirements for safety, quality, and efficacy because of poor handling.
Medication error is not uncommon in Nigeria. Records show that only a fraction of Nigerians patronize registered pharmacists for medications, while many would rather patronize petty drug medication shops without prescriptions from professional pharmacists. But the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria believes there's an end in sight if only Nigerians buy their drugs from registered pharmacists and licensed patent chemist stores.
Back here in Lagos State, the government has been asked to put an emergency plan in place to address the persistent flooding in the state and its attendant impact on residents. A call was made by the Coalition of Concerned Citizens of Lekki Peninsula, Ikoyi and Victoria Island. The coalition, formed after the massive flooding that occurred in the first week of July 2017 that affected residential estates around the Lekki-Ekpe area, has a set of demands that they hope the state government will attend to as soon as possible. Our correspondent, Ayola Kasim, has more.
Pictures that startled many residents in Lagos on the 8th of July. The early morning rains of that day flooded major roads in Lagos. Some are yet to recover from the impacts. While some say this is rare, others argue it is a common occurrence, contradicting claims that the incident of that day was simply a case of flash flood. Femi Pedro Street in Parkview Estate in Ikoyi, 3 days after a rainfall this week. The signs of its impact are still visible here. The residents and indeed everyone along the Ikoyi-Ekpe corridor agree it is time something was done.
Apart from the fact that ourselves here, we are property owners in that place, majority of the businesses that generate money for Lagos State government is resident in this axis. So the so-called IGR that Lagos State is proud of and can achieve all these numerous infrastructure projects come from this region. So we are here not to put pressure, but probably to influence and help the government to do its own job, to survive.
To correct the wrongs, residents in Ikoyi, Lekki, Victoria Garden City, and other estates along the Lekki-Ekpe axis have formed a coalition. They identify the causes of the flood and say what they are asking for is simple.
The things we've been asking government to do for us, clear the drains regularly. That's one of the, at least, short-term solution.
We are demanding, that all further landfills, sand filling must stop. And that all the so-called EIAs should be subject to re-evaluation.
I hope that with this collaborative effort, the state government, it's something they can do. And it is something we will make them do. Because we as an association cannot afford, we can't afford to be doing infrastructure for the state government.
According to the coalition, the state government has failed in its responsibility to enforce the original drainage master plan for the area. They also fault the sand filling of lagoons and oceans, which they say is causing coastal erosion and forcing water back to land. They cite the inability of the critical ministries like the Ministry of Environment, the Ministry of Waterfront, and the Land and Physical Planning Ministry to work together. On his part, the State Commissioner for the Environment says recklessness on the part of residents is the cause of most of the problems.
We are working, is going to be an interministerial thing. It's not just by Ministry of Environment. Physical planning, urban development, health, waterfront infrastructure. We are all working together to make, and even Ministry of Works, all working together to make sure we solve this problem once and for all.
Lagos is prone to flooding because of its geographical location, and many have warned that a disastrous environmental crisis in the state, which is Nigeria's commercial capital, could prove very dangerous for the country at large. Ayola Kasim reporting for Channels Television News.
To examine this issue further, I'm now being joined on the news at 10 by Professor of Climatology at the University of Lagos, Professor Emmanuel Oladipo. You're welcome to the news at 10.
Thank you.
Well, we're looking at those pictures, and I know some people even made fun of, some of the residents in those areas, but really it's nothing to laugh about because this is a serious situation. Whose fault is it, that we're having floods all over the state?
All of us. Everyone. The government, the people, and nature. One, we can't do anything about nature, and I want to start by applauding Channels for always bringing these topical issues on the surface to jolt not only government but also the people. But it seems that our approach in Nigeria has been so lackadaisical that we always talk when there are these challenges. Immediately they subside, we forget about them. What we are looking at all the way from Ikoyi to Lekki Peninsula and Victoria Island, I think people are not looking at the history. I will start by saying that Nigeria is not the only country that has coastlines, but other countries have tried to manage their own. The typical example is Netherlands. Netherlands has 50% of its land below sea level, and it's been battling successfully flood for the past 1,000 years. It's not new. Flood is not new. It's continued to be there. So what is required is that we missed it. I don't know how we are going to go back now. For those of us that grew up some 50, 60 years ago, we all knew what Victoria Island was, what Ikoyi was. When the colonial masters designed Ikoyi and made sure that you have only about 2 or 3 bedrooms in a plot of land that is about 2 or 3 plots, it has a meaning. It has a purpose. The purpose was to have few concrete areas and a lot of wetlands that can absorb a lot of the water when it rains. We grew up, we developed rapidly without good planning, without taking all this into consideration, and we started demarcating all this. Instead of 2 houses, we're having a whole 10-story building and everything. So what is happening is that we have destroyed the natural landscape. We have removed areas which were to be the wetlands, which will have to contain water. And we refused to live with water. You don't fight water. If you fight water, it will fight you back. And I think that's what is happening to us.
Yeah, I do believe that nature is fighting back. If you look all over the world anyway, there are many countries experiencing flood. China, India, even the United States also is experiencing flood. So this year is a peculiar year for floods. But there is a prediction, though, about Lagos maybe being submerged by the ocean, either in some years to come or something.
Well, the anticipation is that if the sea level as a result of global warming continues, a large portion of Lagos may be submerged, as well as the Niger Delta. And that is as a result of the possibility that not only will the sea level rise, but continuous surges from the ocean may be responsible. For instance, even the one that happened about 2 weeks ago, it's not only the rainfall. When you have low pressure system over the oceans producing that amount of rainfall, it creates what we call water surge, which was responsible for massive water that came in as well. As a result of that, we need to look at this one and accept that due to global warming, we may be having more of this to happen. So what is required is how do we really prepare ourselves to manage this very well?
That's a question we all have to think about. Thank you so much, Professor Emmanuel Oladipo, for speaking with us. Oladipo, beg your pardon, for speaking with us on the News at 10. I've been speaking with Professor Emmanuel Oladipo of the University of Lagos, the Department of Climatology. When the News at 10 returns, the realism and expressive abstract style comes into focus on our art review tonight. Please join us again.